You're not what you want. You're what you believe you are. That's where it all begins. Not with effort, not with prayer, not with trying harder, but with awareness. This book, it didn't scream. It whispered gently, persistently, until the echo of its truth made something inside me shift. And once it did, I couldn't unhear it. I couldn't go back to seeing the world as I did before. Neville Goddard, the author of this gentle storm, doesn't write like a preacher. He writes like someone who knows the world you're trying to escape from, knows the ache behind your goals, knows the secret you forgot you always had. He doesn't tell you to hustle or to go get it. He tells you to be it, because as he says, you do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. That hit me like a soft blow to the chest, because I realized how many times I wanted love but didn't feel lovable. How many times I wanted abundance but still carried scarcity in my bones. And awareness, it doesn't lie, it reflects. That's what this book is. It's a mirror, not a magic one, and it asks just one thing of you, to truly look at what you're being. Because being, not begging, is what makes life change. So come sit with me and let me tell you what this book taught me. Let me walk you through Neville's world, not page by page, but breath by breath. It begins with consciousness. Neville writes, consciousness is the one and only reality. At first, it sounds philosophical, almost abstract. But then he explains, you think your world is made of facts, of solid external things. But really, your world is made of states of mind. Every situation you find yourself in, every person who seems to just be like that is responding not to you, but to the state of awareness you're currently embodying. You're poor, you're in the state of poverty. You're loved, you're in the state of being lovable. You're afraid, you're occupying the state of fear. And the kicker is, you can move between states, like changing clothes, like waking from one dream into another. You don't need permission. You don't even need a reason. You only need to assume the state you desire to be in and let your imagination do the rest. And here comes the heart of it all. Imagination, Neville calls it God in action. Not a tool, not a fantasy, but the very mechanism of creation. All transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. Then you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and you live from that new state of being. So no, he doesn't tell you to visualize success once and wait. He tells you to live in the feeling of already having it. And if you're wondering, how can I pretend to be something I'm not? He answers that too, with a quiet kind of smile. You're always imagining something. Why not imagine better? Let me give you an image. Imagine a woman sitting on a park bench. She's tired, heavy, worn from years of wanting but not having. Now, imagine that she closes her eyes and in her heart, she begins to feel something shift. She imagines herself walking confidently, money in her pocket, love in her life, a home filled with beauty and calm. She doesn't just see it, she feels it. Her shoulders relax, her face softens, and in that moment, she is no longer the woman she was. She is in a new state. She has moved without moving. Neville would say that's the only move that matters. But what about action? Don't we need to do something? Here, Neville surprises again. Do not concern yourself with the means, live in the end. He says, your job is not to make it happen. Your job is to embody the end result so deeply, so naturally, that the world has no choice but to rearrange itself around your being. And the way you do that, through assumption. You assume the state of the person who already has what you desire. You persist in that assumption, and then you let go. There is no effort in becoming, only attention. The more you keep your awareness fixed in a new identity, the faster the old one dissolves. Not because you killed it, but because you outgrew it. I remember when I first read this line, to be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. But your thoughts can't change unless you have a new idea of yourself. And I sat with that because I realized every thought I had was just echoing who I thought I was. If I wanted better thoughts, I needed a new self. Not a new habit or a new schedule, but a new identity. Neville isn't trying to motivate you. He's not saying you can do it. He's saying you're already doing it. You're already creating every minute. The question is, are you aware of what you're creating? And now we land on one of the most important truths in the book. Your outer world is a perfect mirror of your inner state. If you want to know what you're truly being, look at what you're experiencing. Don't blame it. Don't fear it. Just observe it, then shift, because nothing changes out there until something changes in here. That's how part 1 ends. With a gentle challenge. Can you dare to believe you are already the version of yourself you long to be? If so, step into it, walk with it. Let it live in your body, in your breath, in your choices, and watch the world adjust itself to match the truth you have dared to carry. Spoken style retelling, poetic and immersive for the gentle nights. The mind doesn't wait. It never stops weaving. Even as you sleep, it's choosing, projecting, persisting in what it believes is you. And the truth is, you don't get what you dream of. You get what you persist in being. Neville puts it so clearly. Persistence in assuming that you already are what you want to be will result in that assumption hardening into fact. That sentence, it cracked something open in me, because most of us visit the idea of who we want to become, but we live in the identity we've always known. We peek through the window of possibility, but sleep every night in the same old room of doubt. Neville's invitation is bold in its simplicity. Don't wish you were different. Don't even try to be different. Just assume you are and persist. He calls this practice living in the end. You don't imagine that love might come. You imagine you are already loved. You don't hope for success. You walk as someone who is already successful. Not because you're trying to fool the world, but because you're choosing a different state of being. And the outer world has no choice but to respond. The world is a mirror, forever reflecting the images of your inner conversations. This part changed the way I speak to myself, because Neville says what truly creates your reality is not just your thoughts, but your inner conversations, that voice inside you that says, they don't really love me. That will never work. I'm always behind. That voice is shaping your world. So what if you changed it? What if you woke up in the morning and said, I'm safe, I am loved, I am expanding? What if, instead of replaying fears, you whispered to yourself your truest vision again and again until your body believed it? Neville calls this revision, not just changing what will be, but changing your relationship to what was. Let's say someone hurt you. Let's say you had a moment you wish had gone differently. Instead of carrying it like a scar, Neville invites you to revise it, to go back in your mind and replay that moment, but this time with a better outcome. He says that your subconscious doesn't distinguish between real and imagined. What it feels deeply and consistently becomes part of your state. So by changing the memory, you're not lying to yourself. You're shifting your energy, liberating yourself from a story you don't need to carry anymore. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. It's not about erasing the past, it's about refusing to be trapped by it. I remember trying this one night. There was a conversation that had haunted me, words I wish I hadn't said, silence I wish I hadn't kept. I closed my eyes and let myself go back there. Only this time I said what I needed to say. I heard what I longed to hear, and something in my chest loosened, like a thread that had been pulled too tight for too long. When I woke up the next day, nothing had changed in the outer world, but I felt different, lighter, and in the days that followed, life began to move around me in gentler ways. Neville was right. The world is a reflection of your state, and revision is how you rewrite the script. But here's something else he says, something I'll never forget. You must make your future dream a present fact by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not thinking it, not wanting it, not saying it out loud with desperate hope, but feeling it now in your body, in your breath, because the body doesn't speak in words, it speaks in sensation. And when you walk through the day carrying the sensation of success or peace or being deeply loved, your life starts arranging itself to match. There's a chapter in the book where Neville explains the law of reversibility. It means if a physical state can produce a feeling, then the feeling can produce that physical state. So, if receiving money makes you feel abundant, then feeling abundant right now without the money can magnetize the conditions for money to arrive. That might sound strange at first, but think about it. When you're happy, don't people respond to you differently? When you feel confident, don't doors open faster? You're always emitting a signal, and life is always listening. Neville says, feeling is the secret. Not thought, not strategy, just feeling, and yet the feeling must be pure. You can't say, I feel abundant, while underneath you still feel fear. You can't imagine love while secretly believing you'll be abandoned. That's where the inner work comes in. This book doesn't give you tricks. It gives you a path, a quiet, honest, powerful path through assumption, revision, awareness, and persistence. And this path starts with one decision: to no longer live by default, to no longer let the past dictate who you are, but to stand up within yourself and say, I am who I choose to be. That's where we'll pause tonight. Right here, in that beautiful, terrifying, liberating place between who you were and who you dare to become. A poetic, immersive retelling for the gentle nights. So here we are, halfway across the bridge between the life we've known and the one we're now brave enough to imagine. But the mind, oh, the mind is tricky. It whispers, what if it doesn't work? What if you're just fooling yourself? What if nothing changes? And Neville, with his calm and steady voice, answers that too. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. It's not a feeling, it's a decision, a choice to stay loyal to the version of life you haven't seen yet, but already know in your bones is meant for you. That version of you who walks lighter, who loves deeper, who creates, not reacts. Faith isn't loud. It's quiet persistence. It's waking up every morning and stepping back into the state, even when there's no proof yet, especially then. Neville tells us the subconscious accepts what it is impressed with. It doesn't care whether it's true or false, logical or wild. It only responds to feeling and repetition. He uses this word often, assumption. Assumption isn't a guess. It's a deep inner knowing that settles into your body like a seed. You assume you are already the person you want to become. And the subconscious begins to make it true. Man is all imagination. God is man and exists in us and we in him. The eternal body of man is the imagination. So, what are you imagining? Really, not just when you're doing a vision board or journaling in the morning, but in the quiet moments when you check your bank account, when you get a message that makes your chest tighten, when you look in the mirror. What's the dominant state you're living in then? Because that state is the one creating your life. Neville teaches something radical, that everything and everyone in your life is being pushed out from within you. That annoying coworker, that loving partner, that sudden opportunity or sudden disappointment, each one reflects some state of awareness you're embodying. Not to blame yourself, but to reclaim your power. Because if your awareness created it, then your awareness can also change it. You don't need to beg the world to give you more. You only need to be more. There's a moment in the book when Neville talks about self-concept, your deep inner identity. He says, you must be in the consciousness of being healthy if you are to know what health is. You must be in the consciousness of being wealthy if you are to know what wealth is. That struck me because we often wait for proof to believe. We wait to feel loved after someone shows up. We wait to feel rich after the money arrives. We wait to feel peaceful after the chaos settles. But Neville flips it. You feel it first. You live it now. And then the world has no choice but to follow. Not because it owes you anything, but because that's how the law works. Like gravity, like breath, unseen but unwavering. He reminds us that our concept of self is like a mold. Whatever we pour into it becomes our experience. So if the mold says, I am unlucky, life fills it with evidence of struggle. If the mold says, things always work out for me, life finds ways, small and big, to prove it true. And the beautiful part, you can change the mold anytime by assuming a new concept of self and persisting in that awareness. At first, it might feel like lying, but eventually it becomes familiar, then natural, then real. Neville uses a beautiful metaphor, bridges of incidents. He says when you assume a new state, like being in love or financially free, life begins to build a bridge from here to there. You don't need to know how. You don't even need to recognize each step. You just need to walk, to trust. And sometimes those bridges are unexpected. A delay that opens a better door, a rejection that clears space for something aligned, a detour that reveals a deeper truth. If you judge the path too soon, you might miss the miracle. The drama of life is a psychological one. The whole of life is a series of the imaginal activities of man. Let me pause here, because I know this can feel overwhelming. This much responsibility, this much power, but you were never meant to control everything, only to choose what you persist in being. You don't have to micromanage reality. You just have to hold your state, like a flame cupped in your hands. Even when the wind comes, even when the night is long, because as long as that flame is alive, the dawn will come. And if there's one thing Neville keeps repeating, it's this: your world doesn't change by effort. It changes by identity. So tonight, just sit with that. Who are you being right now? And who are you willing to become? Not in theory, not tomorrow, now. A poetic, immersive retelling for the gentle nights. There's a stillness you start to carry once you begin to live from awareness. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, deeply present to your inner world and gently alert to your power. This is where Neville brings us next. He speaks of prayer, not as a plea, not as a desperate whisper to a sky god, but as an alignment with who you already are. Prayer is the art of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not begging for what you want, but stepping into the energy that says, it's already done. I am already that. So how do we pray the Neville way? He guides us through a few timeless steps. Relax the body. Let the world go for a while. Close your eyes. Imagine a scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. Not the process, just the result, the celebration, the gratitude. Feel it real. Bring your senses into it. What do you hear, see, touch? What do you feel in your body when you know it's done? Fall asleep in that feeling. Yes, Neville says the most powerful time to reprogram the subconscious is right before sleep. That's when your logical mind quiets and the seed can be planted deeply. He calls this the state akin to sleep, a dreamy, half-wakeful place where we rewrite the script. He also reminds us not to force the world to shift. Don't chase, don't control. The world reflects, not obeys. Like a mirror, it can only show you what you're already holding inside. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Neville doesn't promise instant magic. He promises inner freedom, the kind that doesn't depend on what others say, do, or believe. That kind of freedom is slow sometimes, soft, but it builds a life rooted in truth. Toward the end of the power of awareness, Neville returns again to faith, but not the religious kind, the kind that whispers quietly in your soul. You are the operant power. You are not broken. You are the creator. And if that sounds overwhelming, he soothes us with this. Dare to believe in the reality of your assumption and watch the world play its part relative to its fulfillment. There's a part of this book that always stays with me. Neville talks about the inner conversation we carry. He says, don't just monitor your outer world, monitor the dialogue inside you. Are you speaking like someone who already has the life you want? Or are you still explaining your limitations to yourself? Your inner talk is a prophecy. Make it holy. In the very last pages, he reminds us the spiritual journey isn't about effort, but about embodiment. The more you dwell in the state of your wish fulfilled, the more effortlessly the outer world bends to it. Not because of magic, because of law. He calls it the law of assumption. And it is always at work. You can't stop it, but you can guide it. So, what would change if you really took this seriously? What if you began to live as if your dream had already happened? What if you dropped the need to become and instead just remembered who you already are? You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to reveal yourself. As the night wraps us in silence and the words of Neville settle like snow on warm ground, I want to leave you with this final truth. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not meant to beg for your dreams. They already exist, and you are the doorway through which they walk into the world. So tonight, just become. Breathe, assume, rest, and let the gentle night carry you into the version of life that's already yours. This was The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, as retold through the voice of your friend for the gentle nights. Thank you for walking this journey with me. May your inner world forever guide your outer one. Let's meet again under the stars.